friend. Many of us can close our eyes and remember that teacher, that educator that made a difference in our lives. But oftentimes, we don't get to hear that teacher's story or even see them outside of the classroom. But today, we'll get to hear one educator's journey. Stay tuned. I'm Ashley White, the host of Joy on the Journey podcast, a weekly podcast all about defining, finding, and maintaining the joy on the journey of life. This week's guest, y'all, is super special. I promised that I would introduce to the podcast and to the world my best friends, and this is one of them. She is none other than Miss Teri Hampton, known throughout Texas as a proven leader, compassionate advocate, and a fierce defender of education law. What I also have to tell you. Yes. I have been transparent in all of these conversations, and Teri has been my confidant, my prayer partner, and my absolute truth teller for over 20 years.
Wow.
Yes, 20. Over 20.
Wow.
Over 20, y'all.
Wow.
We met on the campus of Prairie View A&M University. Go Panthers. So, Teri, allow me to publicly thank you for the decades of support, of friendship, of sisterhood, for being that person I know I can call and be like, Teri, am I crazy?
Yeah.
And she will tell me, yes, I am.
Yes.
So,
or no.
Mostly yes.
But mostly yes. Mostly yes. Okay.
So she has supported my dreams,
Yes.
every single adventure. And I just want to thank you publicly for everything that you have meant to me. She's given me my first godchild. And thank you for sharing your family with me.
Of course. Thank you for being there.
All the time.
Yes, ma'am. All the time.
So,
over 20 years. Oh, my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the years add up.
They do.
Good
It went by
years.
fast.
Very fast.
I feel like we were just there. Okay.
Very
There's
fast.
something about hearing that number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We in there.
But I equally want to say thank you. Because as much as I'm your truth teller friend, I know that I still get that from you. But I do know that if I ever just need that prayer, I know I can call on my friend. She's a deacon, y'all. I have a friend that's a deacon. But I laugh when I say that, but it's also a very proud moment because it is truly where I know you were meant to be. Mm-hmm. You forever have been that person that I'm like, I know I can call on this person to, when I say pray for me, like she's going to pray. If she doesn't pray right now, I know it's not on deaf ears. So I say thank you for over 20 years of being someone that I know is praying for me, whether I ask for it or not, and my family.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
We're not going to fall apart.
We're not. We just got started.
Yes.
Okay.
It just got started. So, Teri, the podcast is all about defining, finding, and maintaining joy.
Yes.
And we start every podcast, including season 2. So, if you're new here, welcome. Go back. We got about 20 episodes for you to catch up on, or you can start right here. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you'll always be notified when a new episode drops. But when you think back over your life, when were some of the most joy-filled moments?
Oh, wow. Okay. See, you caught me off guard. I was expecting the first question to be, what is joy? See? Good teaching moment right there. Okay. My most joyous moments. Well, I have 3 children, as you know. So they are my first thoughts, obviously. There's nothing like that moment of, one, finding out that you are going to be a mother, but also that you're throughout the journey of those months and looking into what all it takes for a child to be born for them to now, and you hold them. So I cannot say that is not my most joyous moments in life. So it would have to be October 11, 2008, November 9th, 2011, and June 19th, 2014. Those by far have been the most joyous moments. Now, every time after that may not have been as joyous as that moment, but those by far. And I think in addition to that, I made myself proud. I made myself proud. Not someone told me they were proud, but in my eyes, I said, I did that. I did that, girl. You go, girl. You did that.
So in those moments where you were making yourself proud,
Okay.
what was the last moment where you were like, I did that?
Oh man. See, y'all, she wants me to cry. I'm not a crier. Education is such a, man, it's a roller coaster. And I am my worst critic, so I'm always wondering if I'm doing something right. Am I making a difference? And I think that's my goal in education, is to make a difference. It wasn't necessarily something I did, but there was a moment a couple weeks ago. And I'm just outside, good morning, telling my kids good morning as they're walking in the building. And this little girl walks up to me, gives me a hug, and said, I wish you were my mom. Oh my God! Yeah, what?
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't. Okay.
Oh.
And it was kind of like, I don't know what I did. She and I had never really had a conversation, but it was one of those things of like, I've done something to make an impression on her. And of course, I'm not her mom, and I don't think it took anything away from her mom. But I, in that moment, just kind of gave her a hug and told her, I'm everyone's mom here. You all are all my children. But in that moment, I was like, I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
I'm doing something right. And she just, out of the blue.
Oh.
Crazy, right?
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's crazy because it came on a day where you're doing something so, in my eyes, so normal.
Yeah.
Good morning, right? Good morning. Everybody have a great day. And, it's the end of the year, so I'm tired and ready for it to be over. And it just gave me a boost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, I can keep going. I can keep going. As you know, I just graduated with
We're not going to put no air quotes around that.
I just completed my educational law certificate from Indiana University, and it was a journey that I set off on just to see. I know I love education. I know that. I know this is where I was meant to be, where God placed me. But there's always a piece of me that wants something more. I do love learning. I'm not the best student, but I love learning, right? But I wanted something extra. And so going through that, as difficult as it was, as difficult as going to school, being a principal, being a mom to 3 active kids. And it was a secret. I think maybe a handful of people knew I was doing it. So it was difficult to keep motivated, but also, because it's like, it's not leading me to a job. It's just really something I wanted to learn, right? So it's not, if you're going into education or you're taking classes or degree for a job, that's your motivation.
Right.
This was just me doing something because I thought this would be cool, and let's see, is this a direction I want to go in? And so sometimes, there were many times of like, why am I doing this? What is my purpose? But let me keep going. So to complete it was amazing, and I had good grades.
Yes, you did.
So it was like, okay, kudos to me.
Yes.
So yeah,
very good.
So those are my most recent.
Very
moments.
good. Very good. So we are so proud of you. On behalf of all of your friends and community, we are so proud of you
Thank you.
for pushing through and enduring
Yes.
and coming out. So in addition to our 20 years, over 20 years, you have over 20 years in education.
So this is actually year 19.
Is it year 19?
19. This is year 19.
Year 19.
But you're kind of correct because I did substitute teaching for about half a year. So yeah, right at about 20 years.
So when did you know you wanted to be an educator?
Oh wow. It's crazy to say when I got in.
Huh.
As you know, my mom was an educator. She was an elementary school teacher. And I think like most teacher children, I'm not doing that. I'm not going into education. I'm not going to be a teacher. I had all kind of dreams. I was going to be all kind of things, you know. And I don't even know if you know this. My high school, I went to high school to be a pediatrician.
No.
Yeah, I went to the high school for health professions. That's where I got my high school diploma from.
I just met her today. Hi, my name is Ashley.
Hi. I went to the high school for health professions. I wanted to be a pediatrician. And that was the thing. I always loved kids. I knew whatever I did, I wanted to work with kids. Crazy story. Then about sophomore, junior year, I was like, I don't want to dissect. It's not really dissecting when you're doing a human body, but you know, you had to go through I don't want to do that. And you had to do that regardless of what field you were going into. I was like, okay, so that's not for me. That I just want to treat baby colds and flus. I don't want to do surgery. I don't want to do that. Started changing, and we were, you know, entering into the world of technology, and so I was like, I'm gonna do computer science. That's what I'm gonna do. I like computers, and so that's how I ended up at Prairie View, majoring in computer science for about 2 weeks.
Not 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. I was like, this it's boring. I don't like this. It's not me. It's not me. It wasn't me. Changed my major, and so that's how I ended up in the College of Business where we met. And that's why I was a MIS major in accounting. And then you know my journey on accounting. We're not going to bring that up here, but I graduated though. Yay! Just you know, so I graduated with a MIS degree with a minor in accounting. Just gonna leave it there. And really, as we were all graduating, as you know, I really didn't know. I did not know what I wanted to do. I knew about the alternative certification programs. I knew I could fall back on that if I just had to. So as I graduated and started the MBA program at PV, I was like, well, I'll sub because I don't have a job, and I'll figure out what I want to do. Day 2 of subbing, I met a teacher who just kind of was like, oh, this is what you do. And I just instantly started admiring her in her classroom. And I got more comfortable with being in kids. And I was like, I think I can do this. Sure. And even then I was thinking, we'll try this out and see as I kind of figure out life. And then when I started teaching in Galveston, I fell in love. And I was like, I put it off all these years, and this is me.
It is you. You are an educator.
I am.
So over your career, I am sure that there have been several students that have said, I know for a fact that there have been several students that have said you have made a difference in their lives. So I want to ask from the flip side, have there been parents or teachers or parents or students that have made a difference in your life, and how?
Of course. I am one of the few, I think, well, I don't want to say one of the few educators, but there are not many. I have had the pleasure of working in all 3 levels of K-12 education, of elementary, middle, and high school, predominantly Hispanic and African American schools, teaching children that grew up different than I did. You know, I think everybody understands poverty, regardless of how you grow up, but it's different when you kind of experience it. I knew poverty. I knew of it. I didn't grow up that way. I think my family, we were just a traditional middle class family. Mom was a teacher, my dad was a firefighter, and he had several entrepreneur jobs on the side. We were middle class. I didn't want for anything, but I knew that there poor people existed. I knew that there were kids in poverty. But my first year teaching in Galveston ISD was kind of my true face-to-face reality with poverty. I had a student, female student. Politicians talk about it a lot. We have to, because some kids, they come to school just to eat. She literally did. It was eye-opening, to realize that this is important for her, that she would get to school late, but I made a deal with the cafeteria workers to save her a plate. She's coming, and she would kind of sit off to the side where nobody would see her, and she would come late to my class to make sure that she had breakfast every morning. I had students who never left the island of Galveston, which I always thought, wow. At the time, I wasn't even living in Galveston. I was living in League City. So for me, that was my daily trip, and you've never left this island. Or out of town was going to Baybrook Mall. And I remember in my mind thinking, my friends and I, Ashley, we were at Bennigan's at Baybrook Mall every day. Yeah. But that was going out of town for them.
Yeah.
That was like a vacation. That was kind of my first part where they started to change me, and I realized that I had something to give and show them, that it was more than just teaching them the curriculum. It was about exposure. And so many times in my career, that's my focus, is exposure. I always tell teachers, and I truly believe college is not for everyone, but our job as educators in the K-12 system is to make sure that if they want to go, they're ready. They can go. And if they don't choose that path, what path is there for them? But they're prepared for that path, right? So my first year teaching was very eye-opening. It truly changed me into what my purpose was, not only just myself of understanding that not everybody grew up like I did, right? This is different. I had a student that was in the 9th grade, and I was like, why haven't you been at school in a week? But it all started clicking. He was 18 in the 9th grade, couldn't read. He was in jail for the past week.
Wow.
And then even just to think about that, well, yeah, if we don't teach them, what does he have than to sell drugs because he's 18, he doesn't have an education, he can't read, and his family's living in poverty. Okay, I have a job to do. So it changed my mentality of this is just a job for me to figure out what I want to do in my life versus that I have a purpose when I come here every day.
Yeah.
She's crying. Don't do that. But yeah, we have this thing, and I know a lot of businesses have it where it's, what's your why?
Yeah.
What's your why? And this year, it started hitting me, and I was like, we don't have a vision statement. And if we did, I couldn't find it, right? So one of the things we started the year was coming together to create a vision statement for the campus. And I told them that, but we can't come up with a vision statement. I think everyone has expressed their why at some point, at some training. I was like, well, I don't think I've ever told you my why. And I showed them pictures of some of my ex-students. And as you know, the majority of my education career has been in the high school setting. High school is very, it can be a very difficult place to work. Not for what you stereotypically see of, they're teenagers and attitudes. It's not that. It's society that we live in. And I have so many students that you make these bad decisions that I have had to send to jail because of a decision that they made. And I've had students on the news before who their parents didn't raise them that way, but some kind of way they made decisions, poor decisions. I've had students try to commit suicide. I've had students, that, were cutters and really dealt with mental health issues. And it can be weighing on you, because you get attached to kids and you want to reach to them. But again, I don't live in your life. So as much as I can tell you it's not worth it, life is this, there's other I still don't live what you live every day, right? But then you have your success stories, right? You have the kids that came from nothing, but they work so hard to, I don't want to live like that, right? So you have those, but in the end, what I expressed to them was my why of what makes me get up every day is so that I can change that school to prison pipeline, that I can stop seeing my students on the news. I can stop seeing my students go to jail for senseless things, and that I can now increase the K-12 to college pipeline. That is my why, to decrease the black and brown going down the wrong path.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I want to thank you for your service, for your work, for your passion. You've mentioned it that you have transitioned various roles throughout your career. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about, when did you know it was time to transition? And what did you learn during those periods of transition?
It's funny. I always thought I knew when it was time, right? I never knew when it was time. Every transition from the classroom to administration was really God's work. It wasn't, when you get out of school and you get your degree and now, I have my certification and be a principal. I dream of that one day. It wasn't like I'm ready, I'm going. No, it just kind of fell in my lap. That first leadership position, and then you're going to be an assistant principal. Okay, I think I'm ready, right? And then even in that role, you see people, they're assistant principal for a few years and then boom, principalship. And you think, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do? And after a while, you're like, well, am I ready? I think I'm ready. People are telling you you're ready. But again, I'm my worst critic. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of comfortable. And then there are times where you're like, I'm ready. And then God says, hold on. And, there was a transition where I was at a school for a very long time. And I knew I was ready to leave. I knew I needed to leave. But I was trying to leave for a position that wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right position. And I didn't understand. I think I know more than them, but it wasn't that. We get comfortable. And I say that for myself. At that time, I was very comfortable. I wasn't learning and growing in my craft anymore. I could be, in a sense, the principal in my sleep. So in a sense, I wasn't ready. It wasn't the right move. And, through the course of things happening, I ended up taking a different position that helped me grow in a totally different area. Kind of renewed my, okay, this is something new I have to learn. This is something new that I can introduce to others and introduce to students. And then after that, and then also it exposed me to people that I would have never been exposed to in my previous position, where I was comfortable.
Gotcha.
And the transition wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me. And so about a year after, I had to think, you know what? God, this was nobody but you. You moved me. I wasn't going to move myself, so you moved me. I didn't like it in the moment. But it was what was necessary for me to grow. Once I did become principal, you're always looking at some point, but I was like, okay, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And once again, God just called. on my day off. It was the one time I actually took vacation, and it was a random phone call from the superintendent. And it is truly, where God, I was supposed to be, where he placed me. He put me there. So it wasn't that I knew I was ready. It was he moved me when it was time.
That's a powerful lesson, because so many of us have been in positions where we're like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Whether it's a position, whether it's life, whether it's,
oh yeah,
motherhood.
I have the degree.
Yeah.
I have this. I've done this, so I'm ready for the next thing. And then you're like, why is this not happening? Because it's not time. It's not time. It's all in God's timing. And so, so many, ask now, like, are you, like, okay, you've done this now for 3 years. Are you ready to go back to high school? I'm like, whenever he moves me, I'm good. And I have learned to just be content in the moment and not try and chase what I feel is my next. I'm supposed to do this. No. I'm not supposed to do anything except maximize the potential he's given me, or the position that he's given me. Yeah, that's it. You've given me this, and so I'm going to work as hard as I can in this position. I'm going to do the best I can now. And when it's time to move, he'll move me.
I want you to know how freeing that is to someone watching.
Yeah.
Someone struggling in this waiting season of when is my time coming? Whether it's life, career, personal, and instead learning how to be content.
Yeah.
And maximize the now season.
Yeah, because and I'm telling you this from just experience. I've had the moments, and we've had those conversations of, I went on this interview. I said everything right, right? I've done the work. So what's the problem? It wasn't time.
Yeah.
It wasn't time, and it took me time to realize that. I had to be okay with being like, you know what? But it's hindsight sometimes. So, yeah, I say to anybody in that position, just you have to release that that anxiousness.
Release the win. I think that's the title of the episode.
Okay.
I think that's it. I want to also ask, you mentioned at the top of the episode that your most joyous moments were the birth of your 3 children.
Yes.
And then you talked about she got 3 active children.
Very active.
I want to ask, have you juggled or have you struggled to juggle the roles of mother and educator?
Yes. The struggle is real. I saw this sign at Chick-fil-A of all places.
Okay.
And I actually backed up in the driveway to take a picture of it. And I said, I'm going to start next year with this. It said, you can't spell career without care. And I was like, and that is the difference. Because that is the difference between my career and a job. I love what I do, right? Because I care. And I was like, that is the difference. A job you can just do with no emotion or anything. When I go to work every day, I truly care. It bothers me when a student is not successful or doesn't feel that they have what it takes, right? Or when a teacher needs something that I can't provide, right? It's so I give my all. With that, though, I'm the same way with my kids. I am trying to give my all. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. So it is a struggle to balance. How do I be all that I am for my staff who know that they can call me whenever, and they do, and that's okay. But how can I be all that for them, but then also sit and go to track practice, volleyball, and all these things for my kids, So the struggle is real, but also I want them to be successful students too. So do you have everything you need? Am I asking you everything? What do you need from me? But then also balancing myself. Because if I'm not okay, I can't be all to both of these groups of people.
Right.
So the struggle, yes, I have struggled with trying to figure out that balance of I am principal and when to take the principal hat off and when I'm mom. And especially even because my two youngest, as you know, go to my school.
Mm-hmm.
So even in that moment of recognizing I am Principal Hampton versus mom and when to be that person as well at school.
Yeah.
And, we haven't come into a lot of things that where it clashes. But in the back of your mind, you are still mom.
Mm-hmm.
I am mom, and that is my child. At some point, this is my job, and I don't ever want people to think I'm confusing the two.
Mm-hmm.
But at my core, I'm a mom first before anything. It's time. It's not enough time.
Yeah.
Ever. It's not enough time, and that's the biggest piece. And both are exhausting when you have a career that you love, and education requires a lot of you, especially in administration and being a leader. I meet with so many parents, students, staff members all day long.
The community members.
The community, someone always wants something. And so after school, you're wanting to breathe, but now some other people want something from you. And they still want that bubbly person, and you're like, have nothing left. It's about me finding that balance in between to be that for everyone.
Mm-hmm. What have you found to show up for you?
I'm still working on it. But my biggest thing is I've kind of set up a routine even when I get home. My first thing is I go to my room and I just either take a bath or a shower. Like I need to wash that day away. And my kids have come to, we have about a 20-minute drive home, and we talk and they tell me all about their day and the drama of being kids, right? And so, all about the teenage drama and kids and all that in school. And so, but they know when I get home, that is my please just let me release. I find my time in doing that and just taking a moment to relax, taking a moment to do something that requires no thinking. What can I do? And yes, as I drop my kids off at practice, I've made it a point that's my time to just go eat alone, go have a meal by myself, or go just walk around the store by myself, because that doesn't require me to be something for someone else in that moment. So yes, if you have this 2-hour practice, I'm going to drop you off and go and do something for me, even if it's just 2 hours. Even if it's just 2 hours.
Maximizing the time.
Maximizing that time. I'm
the
here
time.
anyway.
So we can't close out without talking about your own mother and sister.
Oh, Lordy.
Both who are outstanding educators and role models.
Yeah.
What is something that they have taught you about overcoming obstacles in education or in life?
My mom was an educator for 29 years, all elementary. She never went any further. My sister and I were the ones that ventured up. My sister is a high school principal. And I think in all of our different experiences, what they taught me most and what we all really focus on is ensuring that we keep the kids our main focus. I like to, as they say, practice what you preach, right? Every decision I make, if you are not doing everything for the sake of children, it doesn't matter, right? I tell my staff all the time, I would rather make an adult uncomfortable if it means a student is going to be successful. Because it's not about us. It's not about us. We have our education. It's not about us. It's about them. So if there's a little bit more work we have to do to ensure that this student is successful, it's them. And I think I've proven that to them. Every decision I make, there's a why beyond it, and the why is always going to be because these students deserve whatever it is, right? So I think the most thing that I've learned from them is just always think about the kids first.
Kids first.
Kids first.
And you're doing that?
I hope so. I'm trying. Yeah.
So, as we reach the conclusion of this conversation,
Okay.
I want to ask about the journey ahead
Okay.
for you, however you want to do it.
Okay.
As you are seeking the Lord for the next phase of your joy journey, would you dare share your hope for yourself, for your school, for your career, wherever you want to take it,
Okay.
for the next 5 years?
5 years. Okay. Well, I hope for more clarity in my next purpose. In leadership, people are always like, well, what's next? Right? As I stated earlier, I'm good. I'm comfortable. I enjoy what I do. Do I think that I have more to give? Are there other things that I enjoy doing in the realm of education? Yes. So in these next 5 years, what I look for is to continue to find the joy every day. My assistant principal has this thing, ever since she started it, started at my school. I was like, I don't like that. But it's true. She asked me every day, what was the best part of today? And I can't just say, I woke up this morning, right? She let me make it on that a couple times. Because some days are hard.
Yeah.
And it's, and she's like, no, what was the best part of today? And it requires me to really think through those moments where I made a difference or that something good happened. Not every moment was bad, and it brings me back to even a couple years ago. Not sure if you remember, you gave me a gratefulness journal. And that too required me to really think, what was I grateful for today? Besides the fact that God woke me up this morning. So my journey, I guess, for the next 5 years, to continue to find the joy in every day, to continue to find more ways to exude my joy onto others, and to also ensure that my students are finding joy in education and coming to school, because I believe truly that education is the root of the world. I tell my teachers we are the one job that literally changes the world every day. We really do, because without us, what are people going to do?
Absolutely.
You didn't learn anything if it wasn't for a teacher. And so that we have a purpose. Everyone has something to do at their job that means something for some purpose in life, right? But if that job went away, would it truly make a difference if teachers went away? As we saw during the pandemic, it made a difference, right? Yeah. So we have a huge purpose on where the world goes from here on out. So it's continuing to find the joy in every day and exude that onto my staff and my students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been fantastic. So, Teri, how can someone find you if they wanted to get some mentorship, if they were seeking to move into education? How can they find you?
Come on, we need teachers. Come on,
Yes.
I need teachers. We need great teachers that love our kids. Probably the easiest way, I would say, is probably email or Twitter. My email is Terijhampton, so THAMPTO3 at HoustonISD.org. You'll probably catch me there faster. My Twitter, I think it's Teri_J_Hampton. But if you type in Teri Hampton, you'll see me. I'm doing like that.
Y'all, this has been fantastic. She was nervous, but I told her she was going to be amazing.
It's education. I know everybody wants to hear about education.
I told you.
And my journey.
I told you.
There was so much more I could have said. I'm glad I didn't. I was good. I didn't even cry.
I did. But that's okay. That just means she can come back and cry.
Oh, okay.
So please comment in every place that you can your favorite takeaway from this episode, how Teri Hampton inspired you to sit in the wait and to maximize the very moment. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend or two. And until we gather again every single Thursday, may God increase your joy, grant you strength for the journey, and the courage to tell your story. Bye, friends.